All right. I'm going to try this for the third time, so I'm getting frustrated. But so what we're going to do is we're going to do the World War II timeline and major battles, major events. And we're going to start. I'm going to do this in three parts. I'm going to do part one, part two, part three. Part one is 1940 or 39, 1941. So it's first couple years of the war. And again, the war doesn't start until September 1939, so it's the very back. There's only one slide for 1939, and there's about 5 or 6 slides for 1940, and then just a couple for 1941. So let's start. So in other words, so what happens? It's 1939. Hitler did all the stuff that we learned about all week. Went in 1938, took Austria. Bullied his way into getting Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia, and then eventually took over all of Czechoslovakia, helped with the Spanish Civil War. That's where he broke out the Blitzkrieg, knew that he was going to be able to defeat the Allies when it came time. Now it's time to go he wants to take Poland because a big chunk of Poland used to be part of Germany, and there's a lot of German people there, and he wants it. But he realizes if he invades Poland, he's probably going to offend the Soviet Union, which is over here. So what he does is he signs a secret agreement, all right, the German-Soviet non-aggression pact, and basically Stalin and Hitler agree to split Poland up. That's what it's a scam, all right? They're acting like they're friends. They hate each other. They don't trust each other, but they aren't going to fight over Poland. They're just going to split it. So with that being done, Germany is going to September 1st, 1939, invade Poland. When they do that, the British are finally going to say enough's enough. We let you have Austria. We let you have Czechoslovakia, Sudetenland. You're not taking Poland. And just a couple days prior to the invasion, Great Britain had signed a protection agreement with Poland. Well, they're not going to be able to protect them, but they signed it anyway. And so Great Britain and France, the day after the invasion of Poland, they're going to declare war on Germany. And here we go. We're back at war again, 19, 20 years right after we had the First World War. So we're right back at it again, same people fighting over the same territory. Now, the Soviets follow their part of the deal with Germany, and they take the eastern half of Poland, but they don't stop there. They also take Finland, because you got to remember, a big part of communism is to spread communism throughout the world. And so now the Soviets see this as their chance to spread. So they invade Finland. Finland's going to fight back for a little bit, but it's not going to last long. Now, by 1940, as I just said, Finland fought back for a few months, but they weren't able to hold up. And so the Finns fall to the Soviets early in 1940. All right, now about that time, all right, this guy, Winston Churchill, he's going to become the new British Prime Minister. The British people have completely lost faith in Neville Chamberlain. Remember, Neville Chamberlain was the appeaser. He was the guy that gave in to Hitler at the Munich conference. He was the one that handed over Austria, handed over Sudetenland to Poland, or to Germany, so that they wouldn't have a war. And remember, so this was Winston Churchill's famous quote was, we had to choose between war and dishonor. We chose dishonor. Now we'll get war. Well, he's going to be the guy that becomes a prime minister. He's going to be the guy that leads Great Britain and really the Allies through this whole thing. When it looks really bad, he's the guy that holds it all together. So in my opinion, this dude's the hero of World War II as far as just having the guts and the backbone to stand up to Hitler. All right. And so we'll move on. He got his, like, he was a British military guy, and he actually fought in the Boer War and didn't do very good against the Dutch settlers down there, and kind of lost his reputation for a little bit. But that Boer War is going to be what hardens him, so that he's got the guts and the fortitude to deal with Hitler when the time comes during World War II. So this guy, in my estimation, is a hero. Now, Germany has secured Poland. Now, time to go north and time to go west. So he's going to go north and easily take Denmark and Norway, and then he's going to go further west and take Belgium and Holland. Remember, we don't hear the word Holland today because today we call it the Netherlands, right? But Holland and Belgium. And when these 4 countries fall, that's part of that phony war, because it really wasn't like a war at all, because there was hardly any resistance to the Germans come rolling in. All right. Now, I think this takes us to the second 1940 slide. And so in the process, when the Germans come storming in through the Netherlands and Belgium, the British come into northern France, right? And they think, okay, we're going to help defend Paris from the Germans coming in. Well, the Germans overwhelm the British and pin them down right on the English Channel, and the Germans sweep around and pin them down. They pin them down in a little town called Dunkirk. And all of a sudden, the whole British military is in grave danger because they're trapped, and there's 200,000 or 300,000 of them, and so there aren't enough ships to be able to get them all out of there, and so they're in trouble. They're going to get wiped out because they're trapped unless they go running out into the English Channel. So what happens is the British military wires back to London and says, send anybody you can. And so they end up, the British make an all call on the radios to any fishermen, boat owners, to please head across the English Channel and start picking up troops. And so what happened within about a 12 to 16 hour time period, literally thousands of small British personal boats go zinging across the English Channel, and they start picking up soldiers. Some boats are picking up big enough to carry 6 people. Some boats are big enough to carry 8 people. And they successfully evacuate hundreds of thousands and save the British military so that they're able to fight another day. Now, had this not happened, and Hitler would have been able to annihilate the whole British army, then Great Britain would have been a sitting duck and would have certainly fallen to the Germans. All right. Now, so right about the time that the miracle at Dunkirk happens, where they get the evacuation, Belgium and the Netherlands completely fall. They run their white flags up and say, hey, we surrender. Now, at this point, Italy has seen enough. All right. Hitler easily took Poland, easily took Norway, Denmark, Belgium, and the Netherlands. And now the Italians say, okay, let's join the war effort because we know Germany's going to win. The Italians are like that. We're going to wait and see who wins, and then we'll join that side. So the Italians join Hitler, and they declare war on France and Britain. All right. Now, so shortly after the British evacuate at Dunkirk, the French have no answer, and the Germans are going to march right into Paris. This is a picture of the German army marching through the Arc de Triomphe. All right. And so you can see early 1940, the Germans take Paris. Now, the French, they're sissies. I know I could probably get in trouble for saying that, but I don't care. They're sissies. They gave up. They didn't even fight it because the French leaders were like, we don't want our beautiful capital city of Paris to get destroyed by German bombs, so we're just going to give up and live to fight another day. And so Hitler basically walks right into Paris. And there's pictures of Hitler and Hermann Goering and Joseph Goebbels right underneath the Arc de Triomphe. Pictures of them on the Eiffel Tower. It's crazy. Even in our textbook, I think. All right, so France is going to surrender because they don't really fight back. And again, over in the East, the Soviets, the Russians, have taken Finland, taken Poland. Well, now they're going to take the Baltic states of Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. All right, you can see them. They all butt right up against the Baltic Sea on this map down here. All right, now, the next thing Hitler eyes up is Great Britain. We're going to attack Great Britain. But the thing is, Great Britain's got this big, powerful navy, so it isn't like they can invade. So Hitler comes up with this plan. It's called Operation Sea Lion, and that's the code word for the German attack on Great Britain. It's called Operation Sea Lion, and basically it was going to be done through the air. He was going to bomb with the German Luftwaffe. Right? This is known as the Battle of Britain, and it went on for a while, a year and a half or so. Every night, the German Luftwaffe would fly across the English Channel, drop bombs all over London, and then head back, trying to get the British to surrender. All right, the British don't surrender. They hold it all together. All right. Now, the reason the Luftwaffe doesn't attack during the day is because the British Air Force is awesome. They were called the RAF, the Royal Air Force. And when they would attack during the day, the RAF could see the airplanes and would shoot them out of the sky. Right? The Royal Air Force was unbelievable. Right? And one of Winston Churchill's famous speeches were, never have so many owed so much to so few. And what he's talking about is the British people owe a great deal of gratitude to the Royal Air Force for fending off the German Air Force day after day after day. But at night, it was kind of fair game. All right. And then he gave another famous speech. This is our finest hour. So so Winston Churchill felt like, during this Battle of Britain, it was England's finest hour, that they were able to successfully protect their citizens and stay in the war. All right. And you can see right here, people in London, because it got bombed the most, would go sleep down in the subway, well down under the ground. And remember, in our chapter preview or something, we talked about how the British king and queen went down and slept in the subway. Instead of going north to one of their other castles way up in the north that was really safe, they stayed in London with the people to reassure them, hey, everything's all right. All right, now Germany went north. They went east of Poland, north, phony war. Now they're attacking Great Britain, but now it's time to go south. All right, so we're going to talk about what happened in the south. All right, so Italy, remember, Italy, their Mussolini's goal was to take the whole Mediterranean Sea and turn it into a Roman lake. Remember, he called it his Roman lake. And so one of the big plans, they took Albania in 1939. Well, now they're skipping across the Mediterranean, going into North Africa and taking Egypt. Okay. Now, Hitler starts moving south too, and he takes Hungary and Romania and forces them to join the Axis. All right. And Hungary and Romania really have no choice. All right. So the next thing that Italians, once they take Egypt, is they say, hey, we want Greece. So they go from Albania into Greece. Well, the Greeks fight back and push them back out. And then eventually the Germans are going to have to come down and help. And what you're going to find out is the Germans pretty much have to go everywhere and help Italy because their military isn't very well led or equipped. Now we start getting into 1941. This is a big part. All right. And so the Italians kind of fumbling around in North Africa. So Hitler says, all right, enough of this. I'm sending my best down. We're going to take all of North Africa. And he sends a large division of his military. He called them the German Africa Corps. And you got to see how it's spelled. The German in Germany, in their language, they spell Africa with a K and Corps with a K. All right. So the German Africa Corps. And they go down, and they're led by a guy named Erwin Rommel. Rommel's going to lead them. All right. Well, the British are, like, we've got to help the people of North Africa. We can't let the Germans get a stronghold in North Africa, or the whole Mediterranean will get cut off and we'll be in trouble. So the British and their former colony, the Australians, from Australia, not Austria, but Australia, go to North Africa, and they start fighting against Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, down there. Now, at this point in time, Bulgaria is going to join the Axis and join Germany and become part, and they're going to invade Greece, and that's going to be too much, and they're going to overrun Greece. All right, but the biggest thing that happens early in 1941, probably the biggest factor, is Germany kind of gets knocked off its feet on the ocean. Right, their big cornerstone of their navy is this humongous battleship called the Bismarck, named after Otto von Bismarck, and they sink it out in the North Sea. And when the British sink the Bismarck, that pretty much ends any German chance of ever invading Great Britain. So Great Britain really saved itself the day they did this. Right, and this is going to make Hitler lose his focus on Great Britain. At this point, he's going to say, all right, with Great Britain, let's go to the next thing. All right, now, so what's the next thing? Well, the next thing is, hey, it's time to go after Russia. Even though they signed a secret agreement with Russia, the non-aggression pact, well, we're going to say heck with that. Hitler's going to say heck with that, and he's going to invade Russia. This is called Operation Barbarossa. So the German invasion of Russia, Operation Barbarossa, here he goes. And remember, Germany, Hitler even said it in his book, Mein Kampf, he was going to eventually go take over Russia and get Lebensraum, living space for the German people, for the Aryan master race. We got to, and he said the Russians have plenty of good land, and they'll make good slaves for the Aryan master people. But that was his whole theory. All right, now the United States, early 1941, still trying like crazy to stay out of the war. We're not involved. We don't have troops. We're not shooting guns or anything. So we go and our Congress passes a law called the Lend-Lease Act, and we start loaning money, or not loaning money, but building weapons for war and giving them to Great Britain, France, and anybody that's our ally, Canada, Australia, anybody that needs it, we start giving it to them. All right, trying to make sure that our allies don't lose this early in the war, because we know eventually we're going to end up in it. Now, Japan is trying to make sure that they don't get into a war with Russia, because Japan knows they're getting ready to attack the United States, and they can't be fighting the United States and Russia at the same time. So they just signed this, hey, Russia will not go to war with you. You don't go to war with us. Okay, everything's fine. And they didn't want to fight over Manchuria, that area of territory right there where China butts up against Russia. Now, meantime, while this is about the middle, about May or June, I can't remember exact date, our president, Roosevelt, and the British Prime Minister, Churchill, they meet on a warship out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. They sign an agreement called the Atlantic Charter. And basically, this is that they're going to be, Great Britain and the United States are going to be allies with each other, and that the end goal is to stop the danger of Nazi Germany and the Nazis from invading everybody. That's the goal of the Atlantic Charter. All right, now by the late 1941, things start to progress. All right, the Germans are full tilt going after the Russians, Operation Barbarossa, and they completely surround two big major cities, Leningrad to the north, that's old St. Petersburg, that's right on the Baltic Sea, and then Stalingrad down in the south, that's the one that's down closer to the Middle East where all the oil is. All right, so both of those cities end up under siege, surrounded by German military. And the one thing that's going to be the downfall for the German military, we know, is having to be out in the elements during the Russian winter. Can't do it. All right, and that's going to end up being the downfall of the Germans later on. But for a while, they're able to hold it together and surround these two cities. Now, December 7th, 1941, the Japanese, and Hitler urges them that the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor, our big naval base out in the Hawaiian Islands. And when they do that, that brings the United States into war. So we're going to declare war on Japan, and now we're involved too. And then the next day, Germany and Italy are going to declare war on us, the United States, and here we go. All right, so that big event that brought the United States, the attack on Pearl Harbor, our naval base. All right, and so that's the first part. So there you have 1939 through 1941.